Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. My name is Sarah Garvey. I'm joined by Supinder Singh, President and CEO of Palace Tours. Today we're going to talk about Ecuador and their train system from the excursion trains to Tren Crucero. So we're going to start with a little video to give you an idea of what Tren Crucero and Tren Ecuador have to offer.
Tren Crucero. Descubre Ecuador.
All right, so a little history on Tren Ecuador. This is actually its 106th year of operation. The railways in Ecuador were built in the late 1800s, early 1900s to really kind of connect the country for trade purposes, and they were recently in 2008 renovated for touristic purposes, and they've done a really fantastic job. So the first product that they have to offer are the excursion trains. So these excursion trains vary in price from $7 to $44, from 2 hours to 10 hours. So there's really a little bit of something for everyone, every travel plan. There's a lot of options when it comes to these trains. So you can kind of see here the connectivity between the different stations. The route of Tren Crucero goes from Quito all the way along this rail to Guayaquil. And then these kind of help to connect some of the outlying cities as well. So this train from Salinas to Ibarra, this is the Tren de la Libertad. They stop every one of these excursion trains has a unique museum, and they also have different cultural dances and different features of the culture of Ecuador that they combine into these itineraries.
And just to add, Sarah, in most of these train excursions that we are talking about, they represent some part of history, some part of the heritage of Ecuador. And the Salinas Ibarra rail line, for example, is dedicated, or it was the route that was taken by the slaves at the time when they were trying to escape the colonial times of Ecuador. So this was the route, and you will end up in a community of where you find African Ecuadorians in a community. The same way you're talking about the train down south, train of the Incas here. It goes around the Inca ruins, prehistoric ruins, and it's a very small train, but it goes through the route. Throughout the route, you will find the ruins of the Inca times.
And then from Quito all the way here, this is called the Tren de los Volcanes. This is the route that a lot of people take due to the proximity to Quito. It's a very easy access train from Quito. This one's going to touch on, you go to a local farm and learn about the different production that they do at the farm. You enjoy lunch there and a nature walk and things like that. So you really kind of get acclimated to the landscape and nature and trade of Ecuador as well in the present day.
And you get to see the beautiful volcanoes, the Cotopaxi volcano, the tallest volcano, active volcano in Ecuador.
This route is the Sendero de los Ancestros. It's the route that will take you to the Balbanera Church, which dates back to the early 1500s. It was really kind of the first landmark of Christianity coming to Ecuador. So it's a large part of their history and something that's really great to see when you're there in Ecuador. Perhaps the most famous is the Devil's Nose train, you can see here, which is also a part of the Tren Crucero itinerary as well. This one is famous because it's called a feat of engineering. The landscape that it was built on is just an Andes mountain, essentially. So you kind of zigzag through the mountain, and you gain altitude as you go through the trip. So you really are able to see all of the different altitudes and climates that come along with that. The landscape's different. So it's a very interesting trip. You can kind of see a lot of different climates in a 2-hour ride, really. The last one is the Tren de la Dulzura. It goes from here to Duran, and it really kind of emphasizes the coastal region of Ecuador.
And in that, you visit places like the cacao plantation. You go see how chocolate is made. You experience that entire. It's an experience built in for the production of cacao and what all the uses are and all the good stuff. And you go through banana plantations, pineapple plantations, and end up in a cacao plantation.
So this is an example of one of those trains. You can kind of see it looks a little bit different than some of the Tren Crucero pictures. This is the Tren Crucero. This is really the flagship journey of Tren Ecuador. It's a 4-day, 3-night trip from either Guayaquil to Quito or Quito to Guayaquil, depending on your preferences. You can see the itinerary here and how the train system really connects the entire country of Ecuador. So for the Quito to Guayaquil sector of the trip, you start in Quito, you travel all the way to Lasso, which is where you end on the first day. The second day covers Latacunga to Riobamba. You can see here. The third day is going to be Riobamba to Huigra, and the last day, Huigra to Duran. So you really kind of see the connectivity that this provides to Ecuador, and it was mainly used for trade in the past, as we said, but now it's really been transformed into a great touristic experience.
And in this train experience, as Sarah just mentioned, you can experience all the 4 seasons. Ecuador is pretty much the same temperature throughout the year, but when you go on this trip, you will be able to experience different seasons as you go along different areas on the train.
And the itinerary from Guayaquil to Quito is essentially the same, just in the opposite direction. So all of the excursions are going to be the same. All of the places that you stay are going to be the same. The only thing that's going to differ is the direction in which you're going. So here are some of the highlights of the Tren Crucero trip. We're going to go from Guayaquil to Quito in this case. So each day you're going to be taken on different excursions to different towns. The great thing about the Tren Crucero trip that we love is that it's all inclusive. So from the beginning to the end, everything's going to be included with the exception of trinkets that you'd like to buy or alcoholic beverages. So really, you're taken care of from the beginning to the end. You don't have anything you need to worry about throughout. So it starts in the city of Guayaquil, actually in Duran. So it's about 20 minutes outside of Guayaquil, which is where the train station is, and you'll start there on the first morning. The first day, you're taken to Duran. Here you can kind of see the part of the train that's the observation deck. It's an open-air deck that you're able to go out on at any point in the trip to enjoy the views, take photos, converse with other travelers. It's a very unique feature of this train that we really enjoyed.
Yeah, it accommodates approximately 18 people in the deck, in the observation area, and this is totally open, as you can see. And the train travels very slowly throughout as you can see, this particular situation, the train is literally traveling through the banana plantations, going from Duran to Bocay. And you have a place to socialize. You have a place you can stand here, have a drink easy, or coffee as much as you want.
So the first excursion on this train trip is the cacao plantation. So you're able to go to this plantation, you get a guided tour, and all of the guides are very knowledgeable. They all speak English and Spanish. It can be arranged for other language guides, but that is an additional cost. So all of the guides are going to be able to answer any of your questions in English or Spanish. The tours are all done. You can kind of see from the plant stage all the way to how they make the actual chocolates that they produce and sell all across the globe. So it's a really, really unique experience that you wouldn't really be able to see in a lot of other destinations. The next is going to be the Shuar Community. This community is a group of people who they're originated in the Amazon, but they have kind of migrated to the coastal area of Ecuador. So they do a different cultural presentation. You're able to meet them. You're able to learn how they hunt and that type of thing. So it's a really unique experience that kind of gives you an inside look at how many different cultures there are present in Ecuador. That's just more pictures of that. So that is what you'd cover on the first day of this trip. And each night you stay in a local hacienda, which we'll cover a little bit more later, but it really also kind of gives you a look into the history and culture of Ecuador as well. So the second day, you'll start with Nariz, Diablo, which is what we had covered in the excursion train, but this actually is done while you're actually on the Tren Crucero train. So you don't have to get off and get onto another excursion train. This is done in the comfort of the Tren Crucero. So as we had stated before, it's really unique. You can kind of see the zigzag feature of this train. You start here and you kind of zigzag your way around the mountain and then back again. So you gain and lose approximately 200 meters within the about 2-mile trip that is Nariz del Diablo. It's definitely a unique trip, and Supender was lucky enough to be able to do that. So it's definitely not for the faint of heart, he says.
Well, definitely not. It is the best part is while you're throughout your trip, you see all the 4 seasons. But for me personally, I could see the temperature change from virtually almost 100 degrees to maybe 40 degrees by the time we reached up, not 40, but almost 50 degrees by the time we reached up into Alausi. And then it started, your body starts getting acclimated to the climate conditions, and you enjoy your trip quite a lot. And it gives you spectacular views of when you're climbing up in the Andes, and it's absolutely a breathtaking experience.
So this train starts in Alausi and goes to Sibambe and back. So here this is a really, really unique town of Ecuador. Due to the different colors of the buildings, you really kind of get an inside look on what a small town in Ecuador is like.
Yes, the Tren Crucero would start in Bucay, go into Sibambe, and then climb up to Alausi, and then keep continuing going on. But Alausi is the first stop when you get on top of the Devil's Nose, and this is a beautiful, colorful little town, and actually a little bit piece of history related with the trains in Ecuador. A very interesting fact is the President Faro, who was the brain behind the trains in Ecuador, spent his last night when he was virtually being prosecuted. He spent his last night at the house, which is now the train station of Alausi. A very interesting historical fact. And so you walk around and you will find a lot of colorful houses, a lot of people who are walking around in their typical dresses, in the Cañari dresses.
And this kind of gives you a little insider look on one of the areas of the Nariz del Diablo train. This is on one of the ledges in the middle of the mountain.
Yep, going up.
And then the next excursion for this day is the Balbanera Church. We had also covered this in the Excursion Trains. This is the first sign of Christianity in Ecuador. The church was actually built in the 1500s by the Incas under Spanish rule. So it's a very interesting combination of the two cultures.
And a very interesting fact about this particular church, you will see this is a church, but you will see these angels here. And when you go and have a closer look, when the Spaniards came, they told the Incas to build these churches, and the local people were employed, but they did not know how the angels looked. So they made the angels look like themselves. So you would find angels that look like Incas in the church or on the outside of the church.
Definitely an interesting experience. And on this day, we also go to Guamote, which is an indigenous market. Ecuador is very famous for their indigenous markets. They're known for their weavings, for their craft, for their jewelry. And these markets are also used by the local indigenous people to trade fruit and different grains and things like that, in addition to tourists coming there to buy different crafts and things like that to bring home. So you'll touch on that, and then you'll also visit a local nonprofit that provides education and tourism workshops for some of the indigenous people. So a lot of these organizations are really trying to combine tourism and kind of better the lives of the local people through tourism in these locations. And you'll be able to see that firsthand. The next day is a very exciting experience for a lot of people. You get to go to the Urbina station, which is the highest station in Ecuador. It's located about 12,000 feet. So it's very high, and kind of the main attraction here is the Last Ice Merchant. So here you can see the Last Ice Merchant's brother making chimborazo ice cream, which you'll be able to taste, which people say is much better than typical ice cream because it's made from the ice that they bring down from the Chimborazo volcano. So this is the ice merchant and his daughter, sorry. So they kind of talk to you about their experience in the trade that they have done their entire lives, and how commercialization and kind of the development of the country has kind of subsided their trade. They're the only ones left that are doing this in Ecuador.
As a matter of fact, there was an award-winning documentary that was featured on National Geographic and Discovery Channel. If you would look up the Last Ice Merchant in online on YouTube or anything, you can watch a 15-minute video, a very humbling video that you will actually see at the Urbina train station also, which tells you how lives have changed over the years and how the newer generations don't want to do the real work that was the lifeline for this entire family or a whole generation of people, and how industrialization has changed, as I just said, has changed the entire way the people behave. What used to be a very profitable venture at one time, this about a total of $5 in a week at this time for his effort of going up on the volcano and bringing ice and then selling ice in the local market.
So definitely a great experience to be able to meet somebody with that kind of background and life, different than what we have here in the United States and Canada, wherever you might be. So this day you'll get lunch in Ambato, which is one of the very well-known cities in Ecuador. This specific location is the Roca Plaza Hotel. It's an old house that was converted into a hotel. So you can really see the stone architecture is very, very reminiscent of the colonial period of Ecuador. So it combines the history with present day, and the food is amazing. So definitely an exciting step along the way.
Just speaking of food, every place that you go, which is known for its local meals, you will taste local meals instead of having something that is that is from a different area, you will find a chance to taste local cuisine. So it's a gastronomy experience as you go along the way. And like in Ambato, you will find very specific, freshly made food based on the material that is procured locally. It's the same thing when you're going from in Guayaquil, you will find a lot of seafood. When you go up in the into Quito, you will find a whole different food. In fact, you will get to taste a llama too, but that's another story. But whatever you find there.
The next stop is the Nevado Rose Plantation. So this is a really unique experience just because Ecuador is really known for their roses. They export all across the globe, with America being one of their biggest markets, actually. So you're able to see the way that the roses are grown, you're able to see where they're farmed, and how they're processed to be shipped across the globe.
Yes, basically you go through the entire process. You see the growth of the Ecuadorian rose, and then how it is packaged, and how you get different colors in different, how they treat different types of roses, so that if you want, during 4th of July, as a matter of fact, a lot of roses get painted, or not painted, but processed to look like red, white, and blue, and it's hard to figure out how in the world they got it. So they show you how what the process is with the inks and stuff that gets absorbed by the roses. So it's something very interesting, and a very interesting experience in the roses or rose plantation.
So that would be the last excursion for day 3. On day 4, you cover Cotopaxi National Park. This is an area where you'll go on a nature walk. You can walk right around the Limpio Pungo Lagoon, which is a really, really unique experience. It's a landscape unlike any that you'll really see anywhere else. You can see here, if you get views on a good day, you'll be able to see the entire volcano, which is just absolutely incredible. You can see the snow-capped top and everything. So it's very, very unique to Ecuador. The landscape of the Andes really includes, they have what's called the Avenue of Volcanoes, which is just a road that's lined completely by different volcanoes, which is a very, very unique thing to Ecuador. Not a lot of countries would have a landscape similar to that. You'll also have lunch at a local hacienda, and you'll also be able to meet some llamas. A lot of these haciendas are very, very historic, very unique to Ecuador. Supanar was able to go to a lot of them while he was there.
Well, these haciendas are, this particular hacienda used to be a monastery at one time, and then you have haciendas which were given to the people by the Spanish royalty when Ecuador was a Spanish colony. So you would find that the people who were kind of the royals from Ecuador, from Spain, they own these big haciendas. You get a chance to meet them and see and get their feel on how things are changing in and around Ecuador and around their hacienda, and basically relive history with them in all of these haciendas as you go along the way.
So now that pretty much concludes the trip. You'll end in Quito, and that will be the end of that 4-day, 3-night trip. The train that takes you throughout the route, very exciting news. It was actually voted the best luxury train in South America at the World Travel Awards this year. So that's a very, very exciting win, and we're not surprised because we do believe it is the best. It's an experience that's really unparalleled by any other train, not only in South America, but across the globe. So the train is composed of 4 different coaches. Each is based upon a different time period of Ecuador. So the first coach is based on the Baroque style during the Spanish colonial period. You can really see the gold accents and the different seating arrangements. You can see in this hallway over here, this is going to have a locker for each person. The seats are assigned. You don't need to sit in them, but you'll be assigned a number that will be associated with the locker, as well as you can charge things at the bar if you're buying alcoholic beverages, things that aren't included. You can charge that to your seat and pay at the end. So it really, really makes it a very convenient experience. The second car is based upon the neoclassical style. Again, it's more seating, more lockers. The next is the pre-Hispanic style. You can see here there's a large lounge couch, and the very big windows are perfect for being able to see all of the different views that you'll be seeing throughout the trip.
And just to pause a little bit here, the way the train is configured, it is a little different than a lot of other trains that we offer in other parts of the world. This particular train, as Sarah just mentioned, you do not sleep on the train. You sleep in local haciendas. However, you do not still pack or unpack every day. Your luggage is on a bus that travels with you, with the train from Guayaquil to Quito or whatever. And every day or every night, you're in a different hacienda, and your luggage is basically when you're getting out in the train, out of the train, the same bus is used for your excursion and then taking you from the train station to the local hacienda. And also here, as Sarah was just pointing out, this entire area is you will find on this side, this side, these are lockers here. So you would keep your locker, you can keep a big backpack and a computer if you'd like, and any of your valuables in here. And this is going to be, these lockers are assigned based on the seat number that you are assigned to here. So you might be on seat number 17, you will get locker number 17. You can keep the key with you. And if you, let's say, order anything, any virtually room service or anything out of the bar or something, that you can order based on your seat number. So it's a very organized way. The main difference here is you will be staying in the local haciendas, but you will have a space here to keep all your all the luggage that or handy luggage that you might need. So for me, I kept my camera, I kept my jacket, I kept my backpack in the thing. It still had a lot of room for something more if I needed to keep it. So your day activity, because as I mentioned, the temperatures can change pretty dramatically. It's better for everybody to keep a light jacket with them, so that when you're sitting or standing outside in the observation car, you will be having adequate clothes for the temperatures. And this, of course, is the bar car plus a place for you to relax. There is abundant fruit available near the bar cars, so anytime you want. They also have local sugar, which is a form of sugar or sugar cane product, which takes care of your altitude problems. So sometimes people going from Guayaquil to Quito, they feel dizziness with the change of altitude. Here you have the opportunity to be able to have that, the coca tea or anything. You can order it, and they are prepared for that. This is the last coach, which, as I mentioned, this has a sitting area with the observation car, and here you have the standing area, which you can see in the back, where people usually stand with their cameras most of the time. Personalized service, absolutely. In 4 days, everybody was so spoiled rotten that we were. I saw people having tears in their eyes when they were leaving the train because they got so used to the excellent service from the entire staff. The staff is very personable, and they go above and beyond the call of duty to accommodate any needs that you might have.
So these are just more of the haciendas. The haciendas, I don't know if we touched on this part, they're typically old farmhouses, older buildings that were turned into these accommodations. They're going to have all the amenities that a typical hotel would have. You're not going to be uncomfortable. They're very luxurious for the fact that they're a very old building. A lot of people are concerned about that, but everyone is constantly impressed by how luxurious these haciendas actually are.
Yes, they have. They are older buildings, and that's the beauty of it. They've been beautifully restored and kept. Some of them, the owners live in the hacienda itself, and that is something very unique to be able to give personalized service and to manage the quality of the service in the hacienda.
We also have our preferred hotels in Guayaquil and Quito. Our preferred partner in Guayaquil is the Wyndham Hotel. It's very centrally located in Guayaquil between the airport and all the different attractions. It's really very easily accessible to any of the places that you're going to need to get to in Guayaquil. It is also one of the included transfers at the end, so you'll get a complimentary transfer from Tren Crucero to the hotel on the last day.
Or if you're coming into Guayaquil, your airport your airport to hotel is also included as a part of the hotel package. We have excellent rates for 2015, and with the package with Tren Crucero, we would be happy to provide you the best of the rooms and best of service in the Wyndham in Guayaquil. It's very close to Las Piñas. Probably the best views of Las Piñas in Guayaquil are from the top floor in the Wyndham Hotel. It's just phenomenal, and you can literally walk up to Las Piñas. And we will be next year. We will be doing city tours that are about 3 hour long within Guayaquil the night or the day before the Tren Crucero starts. So it's going to be an all-inclusive experience with Guayaquil. And also we have in Quito, Guayaquil is a much more modern hotel. In Quito, we have the Plaza Grande. This used to be the old, there are only 16 rooms in the entire hotel and 16 suites. And we are preferred suppliers for them. And this is absolutely in the center of downtown Quito. Very old historic building. It used to be a hotel, and before that, it used to be right next to it is the bishop's house, or the presidential palace is on this side, and you have the bishop's house on this side. And this used to be the most prime location, or this is the most prime location in the city. Probably one of the best hotels in the entire country. All the rooms are suites. There is no such thing as a room out there, so everything is a suite, and very unique and very
elegant.
Very elegant. That's right. Just goes in line with the Tren Crucero, of course.
So we also offer, the great thing about Tren Crucero and the fact that it's so centrally located in the country is that it makes it very, very easy to see more of the country within a week or a 10-day span, which is the length that a lot of people like to go to Ecuador for. The main extension that a lot of people like is the Galapagos. Ecuador is famous for the Galapagos Islands. We offer what's called an island hopping tour. We can also customize this to what you would like it to be, as well as any of the extensions, but we do an island hopping tour with a base island of Santa Cruz. So every day you're going to go out on different excursions on a yacht and then come back to Santa Cruz Island for your accommodations and dinner and things like that at night. So they're all-inclusive experiences, just like Tren Crucero.
And there is an interesting thing about you have a lot of cruise ships that also come into Galapagos Islands and everything. There is so much that goes in. There is only limited amount of people that are allowed on the island or in the national park throughout the day. And with a cruise ship, some people love cruise ships, and some people like the freedom. And with the cruise ships, the good part is it's a pre-programmed itinerary. You get to go in the national park twice in a day, once in the morning and once in the afternoon for 2 hours, and then you come back on the ship and you have stuff to do on the ship, which could be nature talks or whatever. And with the island hopping tour, it gives you a little more flexibility, because it depends from person to person. When you come back, you can come back and you can do stuff on the island itself. You can do a nature walk or anything outside of the park, and that's a big difference between your cruises versus the island hopping. In both the cases, you will get only 2 hours of entrance at any given time, no matter you go with a cruise or you do an island hopping. So it's kind of give and take. With the cruise, it's kind of a hit or a miss. Sometimes you get a 7 o'clock in the morning docking into the national park, or because that's a pretty random process. Some of the cruise ships are very good, some of them not so good. Whereas with the island hopping, you can get some consistency. But in any case, both these options are available. We can assist you with both of them.
All right. The next we can do Quito. A lot of people like to extend their time in Quito either before or after their trip, just due to the fact that there are so many options for things to do in the city. One of the most popular is the Mitad del Mundo. As a lot of people know, Ecuador is located right on the equator. So this is the monument that kind of signifies that there's also a museum where the actual Mitad del Mundo is that you can go to as well. Ecuador is full of monuments, churches, and a million other things to see that is much too much to cover this evening. But these are just some highlight of things that you might see. The Panecillo, and one of the churches that's all covered in gold plating, which is very, very interesting. So just one of the many things that you would be able to see in Quito that we can customize based upon what you are looking for in your trip.
And this is this particular location is the closest to the sun, as scientifically proven. It is the closest location to the sun because of its height and the fact that it is on the equator. So it's the highest location on the equator around the world.
Quito is also one of the highest capital cities in the world, so that's one of its claim to fame as well. The next, people also like to add a day or two in Guayaquil. As we had stated before, we can do different city tour packages with the window. The city is really, really beautiful, historic, and these are just some of the sites that you'd be able to see on that tour. We can also do Cuenca, which is located closer to the Guayaquil end, but we can do it from either end, obviously. You can see the Inca Pirca ruins, which is this. A lot of people think of only Peru when they think of Inca ruins, but Ecuador actually has many Inca ruins as well, and they're just as nice, and we can definitely do that on the Cuenca part of the city. You can also see this skyline of Cuenca here as well.
And this is the train that goes to the Inca Pirca ruins. And as you can see, it's a very unique. It looks like a bus, but it's a train. It goes on the track. It's a half an hour train ride, but it does go closest to the Inca ruins as you go along.
Definitely unique to Ecuador, because I was trying to find a translation for it and it doesn't exist. So we just call it a bus train, I guess. All right, we can also do Amazon cruises. These are really unique because the Amazon is really unlike any destination in the globe, across the globe. You're going to find a lot of different flora and fauna, a lot of native people that have been there for hundreds and hundreds of years, and you'll be able to kind of see that in a really unique way on these cruises. We can also do Otavalo. This is a market town that's located approximately an hour and a half to 2 hours outside of Quito. It makes a really great day trip, or you can also do it for a couple of days combined with one of the excursion trains. That really makes a really fantastic 2 to 3 day trip.
One more very interesting fact that's about to happen with Tren Ecuador is that the train will be connecting your Tren Crucero. Well, finally, you will have a couple of days in Quito or a day or two to enjoy Quito, and then you can take the train, go up to Otavalo, and from here, this train with a steam engine again will be going to from Otavalo to Ibarra, and then from Ibarra to Salinas. All of that will be covered with a train, as a train excursion. Once again, a very historic and very beautiful, beautiful route. And you will be able to enjoy every part of it. You can see the indigenous market. You can see the museum of where the cloth was made originally, and you will also be able to go to the to Salinas, where you have the African Ecuadorian community.
The next we can do is Baños. This is a really interesting town based at the base of the Tungurahua volcano. So it's very, there's a lot of hot springs, there's a lot of waterfalls, just based upon the type of climate and landscapes that are in that area. This is a very interesting thing that a lot of people do in Baños. It's called a chiva. So these are essentially old buses that were originally created to kind of navigate the Andes Mountains for trade purposes, but now they've really kind of been turned into party buses and ways for tourists to kind of see the different locations in a really fun and unique way. And they can bring you out to an overlook point where you can see the entire city of Baños at night, which is just incredibly beautiful.
And if you're lucky, you can see the volcano also at
if it's a clear night.
And in fact, they have chiva trucks in Guayaquil.
Yeah, they have them in Quito as well.
In Quito as well. So you can
definitely experience, not to
definitely miss. An experience. It's a party bus. Usually youngsters, but you will find that to be an interesting.
I've seen a couple families too, so there's
absolutely
something
absolutely
for everybody.
Families to go, 100%.
Another day trip option from Quito is Mindo. It's about an hour to an hour and a half outside the city of Quito. It's a cloud forest. So it's located at a really high altitude in the flora and fauna. It's kind of noted as the birding capital of Ecuador. So you'll be able to do a lot of nature-related activities there. And if you're looking for more of a luxurious experience, we have the Papayacta Hot Springs. These are about an hour outside of Quito, which we can do for a day trip, or you can also stay there overnight. There's a lot of massages, you can do saunas, these are the most popular, and it's the private hot springs. So it's a really very relaxing experience, and it's also very unique because it's heated by the ground. These are not artificially heated, they're heated by the natural earth that surrounds Papayacta.
And you will find these kind of hot springs in Baños and in Cuenca. Baños is very public. Mm-hmm. You will find, if you want the spa type experience here in Papayacta and in Cuenca, you have spas that you can spend the entire day, and it's very reasonable. Full day with treatment and everything in Cuenca would run approximately $50, and you can get a mud bath and whatever stuff that you need to get done, and facials and stuff. Very, very reasonable, and maybe that's why a lot of people are deciding to retire in Cuenca. Mm-hmm.
Yes,
it's a great value for money, and it's a great value for money and availability of these natural beauties.
Mm-hmm. So there's a little bit of something for everybody in Ecuador. So now we're going to open the floor to any questions that anybody might have about either Tren Crucero or the excursions. We can take a couple of those for a couple minutes. Here you see all of our contact information. You can either call, email us, or visit our website for more detailed information on all of these tours. And I'll also be sending out a follow-up email with all of the information necessary as well. So if you want, you can just type in any of your questions in the chat box on the left. One of the questions that we get a lot is, are they able to cater to dietary restrictions on the Tren Crucero?
Yes, they can. And before you're ready to embark on the train, we actually send you out a questionnaire that will cover if you have any allergies or food allergies or any specific dietary restrictions. And based on that, we are able to make sure that your dietary restrictions are taken care of. Most of the time, it's not an issue at all, unless there is certain allergies. We definitely may disclose that to you beforehand.
And is there climate control on the train for the heat and cold?
It's a very good question. The inner area is all temperature controlled, of course. So when you're in certain places, as I told you, in the observation car, it can get very cold, so you need to have a jacket on. But you want to escape that, you can come inside the train, or because the windows are sealed, so you can come inside, and that is all temperature controlled, of course, and it's there.
The next question is what is the altitude of the overnight stays? This is really going to depend on the different destinations. So when you start at the coast, it's going to be 0. You're going to be at sea level. But as the trip goes on, when you get closer to Quito, it is going to get higher. None of them are as high as Quito, which is about 9,000 feet, 9,000 to 10,000 feet in altitude. But especially if you're going from Guayaquil to Quito, you're going to acclimate. And then we just suggest that if you're going from Quito to Guayaquil, you take a day before to take it easy to acclimate. All of them are prepared to help with any sort of altitude sickness, and there's a ton of different options on how you can combat that throughout your trip.
Especially when you're talking about altitude, I mean, let's just take case by case basis. You've got Bokai, which is about 4 meters above sea level, or 4 to 40 meters above sea level. And then you go to Riobamba, which is the next day past the Devil's Nose. You would be approximately at 2,100 meters. And then the following day in Latacunga, you would be about 2,300 meters. And but in between, when you will be traveling, your height in Urbina station is approximately 4,000 meters above sea level. So the train is actually going up on the mountain and then coming down. But when you're staying overnight, you're in a hacienda, so it's not changing overnight, but you have, but it is a different, so every day, as I mentioned, every day would be a different temperature. It will be a different experience, because it is because of the way Ecuador is.
One question is there Wi-Fi on the train?
Oh, no, and it's better if you need Wi-Fi. You should get a 3G card when you get into Guayaquil or Quito. It is very inexpensive. Yesterday I saw a deal somewhere for only $1 for 1 week of internet access, and it's very reasonable, and that's something that may help you stay connected. That's in the haciendas. Is there internet? Yes, there is. But in certain cases, personal experience, in some cases you will have very good connectivity. In some cases you will have to go by the wall in the room or go in the common area to be able to do that.
In the cities, you'll be fine, but those 2 middle nights are
Yes.
a little bit tricky sometimes, but they should be fine in the haciendas. One of the other questions that we typically get is what type of people typically go on the train, what age group?
Oh, every age group, because Ecuador is a destination for everybody. So you would find the group that I was personally on with had kids from maybe 18 year on, or actually 17 year on, up to 23, 24, and then of course the parents and the seniors. It is a semi-active destination, but there is absolutely, you can accommodate anything in terms of accessibility.
All right, so I think that wraps it up for this evening. I'll be sending out a follow-up email with all the information, and if you have any questions at all, please feel free to call us or email us, and we would be happy to assist you with anything that you might need. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and we look forward to speaking with you all soon.
Thank you.